this and the corporate welfare before I sit around and say, well, let's just get rid of juries. Because the globalists actually are funding one arm of the libertarian movement to do just that, an absolutely extreme mode that they only implement in certain areas where they want to be able to get away with what they've done. So it's a balancing act, but obviously more liberty, more what you want is to make people be more self-sufficient, because history shows that develops greater individuals, okay? The systems that seek to destroy individualism are nightmarish and colorless and dull. But now they've already put people in a zombie state, dumbed them down, made them so unhealthy that you have to, as Ron Paul says, you're not going to get rid of it overnight. Yeah. You're not going to just, so we're just trying to pull out of the gravitational pull of giant, like the sun, of giant government, total state control. And we're just trying to get the rocket ship out of there. And then we can debate after we survive what we're going to do. But sitting back and going, oh, I go to an anarchist meeting and I wouldn't be for any government. Really, you drove here on a government road. So you better discuss how we're going to, the system's already built.
Right.
It is predatory. It's going into retrograde. It's plummeting to earth. So we have to go with something that by increments, we got here by increments. Rome wasn't built in a day. We're going to get out of this by increments.
Yeah, you can apply that to your life even. Just like losing weight. Aaron Dykes, you know all about that, right?
92 pounds.
Tangy Tangerine.
INFOWARSteam.com.
But that's not that's not the only thing. You had to consciously make an effort about what you did. It's little things. Absolutely. It goes back to the little things. That's the theme.
Aaron behind the camera.
Hi, Alex. The U.S. has a lot of debt, and so does Europe. So the question is, debt to whom? The big private banks seem to have financial problems, so they can hardly own all of that debt. Is there a global financial black hole somewhere? Maybe you can just elaborate.
These questions are just incredible. Where is the debt? It's an incredibly complex question. It gets into monetary theory, how the whole system was set up. But basically, because our monetary system is not in a tangible, measurable seashells or gold or silver or whatever it is, it's fiat. Whoever controls the fiat issuance is king. The Rothschilds say, I care not who is.
There was actually an article on Planet InfoWars wrote, like I think today or yesterday, just about that. Basically, whoever prints the money is
exactly. I mean, Lord Rothschild said, I don't care who the politicians are. I don't care who the king is. As long as I control the money, that's all that matters. So basically, you end up having two systems. You've got the real economy, and you've got the, quote, government. But above it, you have the central bankers or the money changers who want to attack the real economy because they're monopolist and want to move it into the government system so it can be moved up to them. But they want to create an illusion and just have the people fighting with the government all day, not looking at that next rail. And I'm oversimplifying this, but continuing just writing on the back of articles here. Sure. Well, I mean, I can do better graphics of this. I mean, this is all.
That's okay. We could.
No, I'm sure we can leave all this in too. But let's just leave it all in there unedited. But I mean, you've got humanity, you've got productivity, you've got ideas, you've got blood, sweat, and tears, you've got economy, and then you've got government that's telling us that it's there to organize things, but it inherently is unaccountable, destructive, and lazy. That's just what happens.
Right.
But you've got the banksters that understand this, the technocrats. And they're always trying to get this dependent, shut down, monopolistic, where only their buddies in certain sectors control it. So it goes into government, it goes back to them and back to these guys at the top. But to ask the question is, what is the debt? When a dollar is created, it's not really a dollar, it's a Federal Reserve note now. It's not backed with anything.
Right.
You have to pay debt back to the Fed for allowing that to be created. Whereas previously, whether it was gold-backed or not, the government just issued it, and the dollar was just a symbol that you could use to exchange goods, which makes a lot of sense so you're not engaged in barter. And this empowers the individual. But instead, with this Federal Reserve System, it empowers the banksters, who are all fraudsters and call themselves the Fed. They're not Fed. Oh, we can trust that, it's the Fed. But again, I'm oversimplifying this. I mean, the basic question is, where is the debt? On average, about 76% of all of the taxes you pay, county, city, federal, end up going into slush funds. It's not even for pensions. It's called the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And the 24% or so goes into the budget that we hear about. And they want the budget, the banksters, to always be in trouble so they can have all these ads and TV shows about how you're in debt and you didn't pay enough and things are about to collapse. So that you get deeper in hock to them. It's basically loan sharks. They are fraudsters, so they want to wreck the economy so they can come in with fiat money and buy it up after they've wrecked it. It's very, very simple. But it doesn't produce productive economies. And so if you look at Greece or any of these countries, they bring in a welfare system to create a dependent class who will beg for money and riot if they don't get it. But that's always blamed for the shortfall. It's almost never the shortfall. The shortfall is that the banksters will also put their people in, Goldman Sachs and others, into Ireland, Greece, the U.S., Argentina, over by Australia, the Kiwi, it'll pop my head in the place. What's the place everybody's moving to? Sometimes I can't think of the name of something. New Zealand. That's all run by Goldman Sachs people, the finance ministers, presidents. And then they come out and say, oh, my God, the public's in debt, the country's bankrupt. But you always notice, oh, it's too big to fail. It's the 6 big banks. It's their 1.5 quadrillion. That's the black hole. So people say, where is it all going? Where's the black hole? Well, that's it. They create the black hole to destroy the real economy so they can stand over it as managers and saviors, making themselves the boss who will get you out of the crisis if you go into debt to them. But the debt was always created by them, and then their people engage in fraud to make you think that only they can protect you. I mean, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, there's the black hole. There's all of it.
Yeah, you make the problem and you come in as the hero.
Exactly. Yeah. Problem, reaction, solution. There you go. She just boiled it down. You wreck society by design so that you can come in as the knight on shining armor.
Wow. That's seriously hateful, evil.
Well, they want to be in control.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Alex, I have been wanting to ask you, do you know if they are using the HAARP on the chemtrails? I live in Washington State, and it seems our weather patterns here are getting worse. They spray heavy up here, and it rains about 3 days after they spray the chemtrails. So
now they want to bankrupt the country. They admit there's a weaponized weather program. They admit the program's real. A guy got a Nobel Prize in the 90s, early 90s for it. And they are trying to bankrupt this country, like $20 billion to move General Motors to China. Yes, there is a weapons program. They do ionize it. That part's is in the patents. It's real. We just don't know exactly what they're doing. We just know the program's going on.
Right.
And I've been saying this 17 years. They didn't admit it till 4 years ago. And exactly what all the researchers said, barium salts, aluminum dioxide, and then it's like, oh, yeah, we're doing that, but it's classified. What they do is they add it to the jet fuel where the engines, and it disperses nuclei, and they do it in key weather. It's amazing.
You can even see the patterns over the ocean. They even have.
When you were a child, how long did a condensation trail, a contrail, stay up there?
I remember thinking, wow, it's so cool how they stay up here for so long. I didn't think they would, but I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, something like that, hour.
How old are you?
You never ask a woman her age, Alex. Let's say under 30. Let's go under 30.
Okay, I never even asked your age. No, the point is, I'm almost 40. Condensation trails dissipated in a matter of minutes, if not seconds, until the mid-90s. And now they persist, as they call them, and they stay there. It's not all planes. You'll have one plane right beside another plane coming in, and one's not leaving a trail, the other is. It depends what fuel additives they have. Actually have spray planes. It's incredible, but this is going on, and it just shows how you let a secret government take over of mad scientists. They just dominate society.
Yeah, find out which ways they can do it. Okay, so what would be one of the best things to do if they release the weaponized bird flu? Is it?
Oh man, these questions! I should be doing these on the radio.
Yeah, these are great. Or do a panel with Aaron Dykes.
What to do? Yeah, no, but I like the fact that it's like fresh though, but then it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I I have moved to the country outside Austin because I'm not living in fear. I'm trying to live in control because I love my children. And the globalists really are pushing the idea in all the movies and culture, but also in government documents, that there will be mass plagues, weaponized Ebola, weaponized bird flu, mouse pox for humans. This stuff kills like 85, 90+% of people, depending on which. Some of them kill like 98%, if you get it. And, of course, they'll have some vaccine that cures you, but God knows what it gives you. I mean, it's just diabolical crazies. So if all that happens, I still haven't set up the telecommuting out where I live because the internet wasn't what they claimed. It barely works. But, I mean, in the final equation, I'll have to take care of my children. The best thing you can do is get away from population centers if they release it. But if they do release it, they're going to be spraying it. So I don't know how you escape it. I mean, it's what's so horrible about these people, and how they say once they get a big enough police state in place where they think they can release this stuff and control the panic and pose as saviors on the news, they're going to do it. And the very newscasters that are compartmentalized are going to lose their family. They're reporting that the government's the good guy and everything, and it's all engineered. And then we have all these documents where the very government posing as a savior is the one developing it. It's just horrible.
What do those reporters even do all day? I mean, like, how is it that they say they have slow news days when there's all kinds of documents being...
Well, the average reporter, like at CBS or NBC or ABC, the national, even if they're an affiliate, but a lot of them are owned by sub corporations, they have news packages, have already produced video. And then all they've got to do is read the teleprompter, and it looks like local news. About it's the law to take vaccines when it's not. People can look it up and find out it's a hoax.
Even Dr. Oz doesn't give the H1N1 vaccine to his kids. He's on record as saying that.
I think that's because morally in the final equation, he knew how dangerous it was. He couldn't just sit there and go along with that fraud. But the issue is, I had the former owner of local NBC station, since I've lived here, he's been on TV, the head guy at CBS the other day. They said, oh, we want to come by. And they got here, and the questions were coming out. At the end, they go, oh, by the way, this is for national CBS. I'd already figured that out, the questions they were giving me. Because it was on multiple subjects. And he goes, yeah, a big guru at, CBS wanted me to come down here and ask you these questions. And it was basically the standard, well, you're making a lot of money. Is that what this is all about? But the point is, that shows how local news literally is told, and it's not even owned by CBS. It's just the guru from there. That's his word, says, go interview Alex Jones. To give them, and they're like, yeah, this is going to air nationally. So it's like fund the, head reporter,
right,
guy that manages CBS here locally, but I think it's owned by like Sinclair. And he's not even a bad guy. He's just, well, you've hit the big time. I've been sent down here by the big guru, and you just see how you think it's local news. It's not, because these guys know, do what the guru says, and go get the report for us, and it's going to air in different regions and nationally. And there they are all day over there at CBS local. Like 6 years ago, I have the tape of that same CBS before he was there. I'm not bashing him, saying mercury's good for your brain. So you can type in mercury good for your brain.
Go ahead and take some arsenic pills while you're at it. Why not?
Well, and it's weird. A tiny bit of mercury and arsenic, totally microscopic levels, I've talked to scientists, is actually needed. But not in the levels... Do what?
Isn't it already in certain foods and things like that?
Well, that's it. You need just tiny trace amounts. They're putting thousands of times what you'd want in there.
Right. Well, next question, Alex. You say that the elite want a cashless society, but the illegal drug and weapon deals and so on would be exposed if the money could not be tracked, or could be tracked then. So that logic doesn't compute to me. Can you explain it? Well,
they've got old programs they're running that are merging with new programs. And that's a point that I've thought about a lot. Regardless, the big mega banks who do launder most of the drug money on record, I mean, just look it up. It's all over the news. Big bank caught laundering $200 billion in drug money. No trouble at all. Bloomberg, $376 billion laundered by Wachovia and Wells Fargo. I mean, just look at these headlines. But at the same time, they want to move to a cashless society because it's even a bigger business to charge you $5 like Bank of America wanted to do every time you use your own debit card. Right. Remember that? And